Hey, Francesca.
Not yet. I think I sent her twice, just in case. Oh, there we go. Okay, that'll let her in.
Welcome, one and all, to not only another show, another damage report, but the first ever, the first of many, I assume, maybe to take us through the span of the 958 shows we have remaining until we no longer have to deal with Donald Trump. The first ever Fantastic Thursday.
That's
Francesca Fiorentini,
right.
host of the Bitchuation Room, fresh off her live comedy show last night.
Yes.
Is here. How's it going?
So fun. Thanks for having me here. Had a great show in Pasadena last night. We're gonna do another one on February 19th. So if you missed it, come out to that. Also, we're gonna be trying to travel around the country this year. But yeah, it's Thursdays, John. I know I love our Mondays. But given the amount of work I have to. I need my Mondays to do it. So Thursdays, it's a sweet spot. I love it.
I am glad that despite your massive workload, and we'll talk about your new show in a sec, that you can still do a day, because one of my nightmares is you no longer being able to do that. I will say that it hurts to lose the Mondays with you.
Yeah, it was always good. There's always like fresh Monday energy. I'm extra mad on Mondays. I think that's why people liked it.
It's a fresh Monday energy, but it's also like it's an intro to the week. It just like, and there's so much that builds up over the weekend.
I know.
But that's okay. That's okay. We've got a plan for Monday, which
Thursdays
we will
are
reveal
also
on
a
Monday.
Massive news day.
No, it's trash. It's nothing. Like this is, I mean, we're basically just treading water at this point, and that's the way it's gonna be. But don't worry, okay? We've got big plans for Monday, and that will come out. And Brooke is saying this is Brett slander, and I won't hear another word of it. Oh, Fridays are huge too. Fridays are really, we have a lot of fun on Fridays. But anyway, we have a lot of news, and we're gonna get to that in a sec. But you not only have your show, the Bitchuation Room, which you're doing more of than ever before, and you have your live comedy shows, but you also have a new show.
Yeah, I'm co-hosting a show on Zateo News with Wajahat Ali called America Unhinged, and we're tracking Trump's first 100 days in office. So that's every Tuesday and Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, on Zateo News' YouTube channel. And yeah, we did first show tonight. It will be great again. Wajahat is hilarious and wonderful. So hopefully, we did introduce John a segment called Reek of the Week. So
what's Reek of the Week?
Reek of the Week is the person in the Trump orbit who bent the knee the farthest, who ground their nose the most, who was the reekiest of the week.
That's really good. That's really good. Okay, I love a good segment, and Reek of the Week is great. Oh, there's so many reeks to go around. Hey, we're gonna be starting with a reek, actually, a reek organization in a little bit. But anyway, we do have a lot of news. We also have a members hangout coming up 30 minutes after the close of today's show. So in exactly 3 minutes, less than 2 hours from now, we're gonna be going live with our members hangout for January. So all the tier 3 members on YouTube, would love to see you there. Feel free to sign up. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, so with that said, we gotta get to the news. Hit the like button, share the stream, blooper gift card, blah, 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 blah. Let's jump into this. We have been warning about the compliance, the willful, preemptive compliance of media organizations, and you can add apparently another one to the list, joining things like the LA Times and the Washington Post, which are backing off of, I was gonna say criticism of Trump, but I guess backing off of journalism, I suppose, backing off of their job. CNN hosts have apparently now been warned to be very, very careful about the way that you speak about our new God Emperor. Don't you be too critical of Donald Trump. That is literally, not literally, but that's basically what they've been advised to do. And of course, during the first Trump term, CNN was very critical of them, which I guess was good, sometimes annoying and cringy and grifty or whatever, but often good. He did a lot of terrible things, and you need to be critical of him. And they certainly had some, making up to do, considering that they had given him, I don't know, 1,000 hours of live podium coverage leading up to that first term. So it was good that they were critical during the first term, but now don't expect that to happen. And so CNN journalists apparently during the inauguration coverage avoided mentioning the most sordid elements of Donald Trump's past, including his felony conviction from just last year, his 2 impeachments during that inauguration day broadcast, after the network's top boss told them to show some deference to the most powerful person on earth. And I'm glad that there's reporting about what they did on inauguration day, because obviously there weren't a lot of people watching their inauguration coverage to see it, but that's what they did for the few that actually tuned in. So anyway, apparently last Sunday, there was a routine editorial meeting, and it was meant to plan the extensive logistics of the inauguration. And CNN CEO Mark Thompson, not the Mark Thompson that comes on our network, told journalists to avoid, quote, prejudging Trump. Don't prejudge him. Don't be judgy. Don't like consider all of the things he has done and said and promised to do. Ignore all of the evidence of your eyes and ears. That's the last final command. And so they didn't prejudge. And what did he do with his first few days? Maybe he was better than we thought he would be. Well, he tried to unilaterally take away citizenship from millions of people, ending birthright citizenship, which of course he cannot do. He pardoned attempted cop killers with the January 6 pardons. He took us out of the WHO. He took us out of the Paris Climate Agreement. He started mass deportations. He did a million insane things. I'm not going to be able to remember all of them. We covered them throughout the week. There's so many that it would take like a 24/7 news network to cover all of his insane crimes, if only we had that. But Mark Thompson told them that he doesn't want CNN's coverage to, quote, relitigate the past, which is an interesting way to say, ignore all the things he's done. What do you mean? Like, if you are not adding context from what has come before, what is the point of your coverage at that point? And so anyway, you had on that day, Jake Tapper, Anderson Cooper, they've done countless hours of critical coverage of Donald Trump, but not apparently a thing that they're allowed to do now. And bearing in mind, that was under Jeff Zucker. And so there was already a shift under CNN at various times to move to be more pleasant towards Trump. And that apparently is gonna go into overdrive now. Oliver Darcy, media reporter, says Thompson does not want them endlessly poking the eye of the sitting president and believes that Trump should be shown some deference. And he has made it clear that he wants the MAGA movement to have a seat at the table when discussing political topics, even if certain pundits do use the platform to make incendiary and sometimes false claims. So show deference to the president, which is not at all what the media is supposed to do. That's the exact opposite thing of what they're supposed to do. And we will never show deference to Donald Trump. I swore in the first term, I'm never gonna be fair to him. I'm sticking to that, but I'm adding no deference either. Jesus Christ. Also, we're gonna bring MAGA people on, even though we know in advance they're gonna lie. We're gonna give them a platform to lie, so that Donald Trump, I guess, won't nuke us from orbit, and maybe some MAGA people will watch our coverage, which will never, ever, ever happen. So, Francesca, that's all fun. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know, right? Like, I don't know if it'll never happen. I think if CNN starts telling MAGA what they want to hear, that they might actually perk their ears up. Yeah, we should be distrustful of science. Yeah, there should be investigations into Fauci and into the entire Biden administration. If they start doing the thing, then people will be like, yeah, CNN's cool again. I mean, it's really crazy, John, how much this new administration is laying bare the oligarchy that stands behind every single media organization that you might occasionally tune into and like, right? That ultimately CNN is owned by Warner Brothers Discovery, and also massive venture capital money like BlackRock holds shares, like I think it's 63% of shares of CNN of Warner Brothers, excuse me. So these are all venture capitalists. They want their tax breaks, they want the deregulation, and ultimately, when their back is against the wall, meaning it's either Trump or, I don't know, a Federal Trade Commission head like Lena Khan, they're gonna go with the guy who's gonna deliver them the most money, and that's Donald Trump. And so as consumers, like, what are we gonna do about it, right? I mean, how are we going to be pulling our money away from these folks? And I hate to say it, because I do believe in having robust news media, but they're not. So how do we take our money out of that and put it to other good things? And again, I don't like the idea of GoFunding me an entire, media, but it's why people need to be supporting this outlet. It's why people need to support, Zateo, my show, and I do think there are people specifically maybe more in print journalism that are doing real work. It's not to say CNN isn't doing anything, but it really is scary.
Yeah, there will be some work, and so they'll do some like print journalism or whatever. Will their hosts be able to discuss it if it reflects poorly on Donald Trump? Bearing in mind, I'm not saying that CNN has a massive audience or whatever, but that's one of the ways that people track what's happening. Is seeing in this sort of thing. Some people will go and read articles and stuff like that It ain't a ton, like in comparison to those who might watch a little bit of news coverage of the top headlines. And I guess the headlines are supposed to be deferential now. And I point this out, I guess I'm somewhat surprised, I suppose. I didn't think that CNN would move this fast to bend the knee to be, your Zeteo style reek of the week, I guess. But that's what they're doing. And look, maybe they're terrified. Donald Trump has threatened to pull broadcast licenses before. He just posted on Truth Social, MSDNC is even worse than CNN. They shouldn't even have a right to broadcast.
Yes.
Because remember, Hungary is the model. What did they do? So maybe he would literally make it illegal for CNN to broadcast. I don't know, but we're not there. And you still have a job to do. You have to be willing to risk the government shutting down your operations, okay? You have to be that minimally brave, that minimally bold. But this serves as a reminder to everyone, and we've been saying this for some time. Donald Trump is not only more dangerous than he was, the movement around him more dangerous, more poised to do terrible things, but we have far fewer checks. I don't even mean literal checks like in government. Even media checks, there's fewer than there were before. We have far less hope that there's gonna be some sort of investigation that uncovers something that hampers him. We don't really have that. Social media has been utterly taken over by right-wing oligarchs. We have so many fewer of the minimal tools we had the first time around that you all need to be ready, because what little we do have that will stand up to him. Maybe it's like a reverend at an Episcopalian church or something like that. Maybe it's one or two Congress people. Maybe it's someone in media willing to lose their show to do what is right, to fulfill their obligation. That is likely to be all that we have right now, because everyone, you can just look around. They're taking a knee, they're bending down, they're kowtowing. You see it literally everywhere.
Yep. It's truly terrifying. And to end this, Gil Scott Heron said the revolution will not be televised, and I firmly still believe that. A lot of the work that needs to happen is offline. It is in person. It is building our communities. It is making them strong to withstand some of these attacks. It is knowing our neighbors. It is mutual aid. It is all of those things, and we can do it, guys. We've done it before, and we can do it again.
You have a great quote there. Totally right. I'm gonna start off this next section with a great quote. It's certainly cliche at this point, but many of you probably in school had to read 1984, and there's that classic quote, "The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command." And that's what we're being told by the parties, definitely, but also by the media, which has entirely surrendered to Donald Trump, because the Wall Street Journal, okay, this is their editorial board. This isn't one person that came in to do an op-ed. This is their commentary board said, hey, the thing that Elon Musk did that we all know exactly what it is? No, it wasn't that. It was something else. Don't worry about it. Look the other way. Maybe there's something on Netflix or something. Don't worry about the fact that the richest man in the world, who has office space in the White House, is doing Nazi salutes. He said that they said, the editorial board, that Elon Musk is a secret Nazi meme, a kooky accusation. Goes from social media to the press and Senate. It's a kooky. Oh, you guys, you're just such kooks for seeing a person do a Sieg Heil and then calling it that. Here's what they said. We're not gonna read the whole thing. Nobody should. Literally, why would you go to the Wall Street Journal? Prior to this, but also after it. What an object lesson in the laundering of a kooky online smear. Roll back the tape, and Mr. Musk is reacting to a roaring arena as he says the 2024 election really mattered, and his heart goes out to the crowd, which he didn't say until later on. He slaps his chest and waves an arm toward the audience. That's literally not what he did. The peanut gallery on social media went nuts, suggesting it was an intentional Nazi salute, which mainstream outlets then cited to justify covering the supposed controversy. There it is, the birth of a partisan talking point and the spreading of disinformation. He did a knife hand chop multiple times. And if you found yourself in the enthusiasm and exuberance of the moment, accidentally doing like the one thing you don't do with your arm, which is that, you would realize it and then apologize. Or if there was an uproar, you would make clear on, maybe one of the social media sites that you own. Oh my God, I can't believe that it looked like that. I would never intend to do that. That's not what it was. I hate that. I denounce Nazism. I denounce, I don't know, like German neo-Nazi parties or whatever. Obviously that would be a lie in his case, but he could try to say that. You would do all of those things. He didn't do any of that. because it was intentional. The reason that neo-Nazis on Twitter are so excited, so horny for Musk today and this week is because they know exactly what it is. But at the Wall Street Journal, you are a kook if you believe the evidence of your eyes. And not just them. You have the mainstream legacy media, Wall Street Journal, respectability, all of that. Joe Rogan also says it's a BS game of pretending everyone is Hitler. They're crying wolf. That's all they're doing, crying wolf. It doesn't look like anything to me. That's what we're being told, okay? Everyone has surrendered, everyone is in on it. The machine has consumed them all.
Yes. No, and because you have plausible deniability, and so long as you deny it, as we learned from how Republicans behave whenever they are plausibly accused of sexual assault, and I don't know, there are police reports and things like that, they just deny because they have absolutely no shame. And they relish in that. They relish in saying up is down and down is up, and 2 + 2 = 5. That's what they do. And the moment you like concede it, that to them looks like weakness. And I think beyond that, there is a handshake and a wink and a nod. And I think some people in the Trump orbit, they're like, no, I am, a white nationalist. And others are like, I don't know, I just hate trans people. Like everyone's there for different reasons. And so if you ultimately like admit that yes, this Nazi sympathizer who has shown so much sympathy to Nazi parties in the past did in fact do a Nazi salute, if you admit that, then all of the other things that you have to admit about the movement, even for the people who are in it, are too distasteful. It's like, no, or even the people who voted, no, it was about the economy, it was about this other thing. No. It, at the heart of it, is about hatred, and it is about othering people. Look at the first, weeks. Look at the first days of the Trump presidency. It is about othering people and saying they're not human, they don't deserve equal protections or equal rights under the law.
100%. Yeah, all of these incredibly wealthy people. I know that like we're comparing Wall Street Journal and Joe Rogan. Well, both of them they're filled with wealthy people. Joe Rogan's massively wealthy. Wall Street Journal is there to protect the wealthy. Joe Rogan shaves his head and he likes MMA. That doesn't mean he's the same as you and me. He's very wealthy. He's been wealthy for a very long time. He'll be wealthy for the rest of his life. He has much closer class connection to the elites running society than to you or I. And so they're all conspiring to tell you, just go to sleep. Just go to sleep and let it happen, honestly. Just let all of this happen. Don't use your eyes, don't use your ears, certainly don't think about any of this. Just accept it. And while you're asleep or whatever, we'll give you, we'll destroy the trans community or something. We'll, wreck our economy to deport a bunch of immigrants. We'll give you that stuff that we've trained you to think is a suitable replacement for economic policies that acknowledge your actual life and struggle.
Oh, it's even less than that, John. We'll rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Yep. Yeah, your kids may not, be able to go to college or whatever. You may never own a home, but Gulf of America.
Gulf of America. Forget the fact that climate change and massive oil extraction has made decimated fishing communities in the Gulf of Mexico. Gulf of America, baby. When you call it Gulf of America, suddenly the shrimp and the fish are like, oh my God, they shake off the oil spill and they're like, come get me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what happens when you just alpha it up a little bit.
Yeah, and look, at some point I understand people are gonna be tired of like the warnings and everything, but like we all have to be ready, okay? If any portals open up behind us, it's way less portals than you might have thought. And a lot of people that maybe you would have thought would be natural allies, it's not gonna happen, okay? They're arrayed against us, and we have to be clear about that. And it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. We have some good people. I like AOC and Bernie have been going on a tear. That's good. We're gonna talk more about AOC later on the show. Jon Stewart's doing a good job. John Oliver. We have a few people, but it's gonna be tough. Now we're gonna take a short break. We come back. Lots more to talk about. And I wonder, to close the thought about CNN. So like they do have some people that have done good stuff, like we point, like Anderson Cooper and Jake Tapper, I hate on certain topics, but they were willing to, be clear about what Trump was. Caitlin Collins did that great town hall where she tried to hold him account. She's done good stuff, and she had Bernie on recently. Like, so are they just gonna accept this and that's it? You used to do journalism and now you do something else.
Yeah, money.
Or but they want the money, obviously, but like the network can't exist if literally no one watches it. And I just don't see who would watch this. If you just want media that's deferential to Trump, they're never going to match Fox News.
Exactly.
And like the Democrats, disaffected Democrats, why are they gonna tune into this? Like, what's the point?
But
what's gonna be left to watch CNN?
What's interesting about CNN and MSNBC is what's happening in the media landscape is the same thing that's happening in the political landscape, which is they do not allow real dissent and debate and discussions and the shades of blue, from people who are like, socialists to come on, or people who are climate activists, or actual leftists who are like, Biden is not the answer. I have critiques of Kamala. Heaven forbid a Palestinian activist or someone who believes in ending the genocide. And when you do that, you are narrowing the scope of people, specifically just, you're narrowing it down to older people who are even watching or tuning in anymore. So they do it to themselves, and then you get trumped, and it's like, buddy, I can't help you because no one's out here going to bat for you. Same thing with the Democratic Party.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, it's not like I haven't been like tuning into MSNBC. I assume they will be better than this.
There's some good hosts, but you know what I'm saying? I'm saying writ large, like their numbers have been in the tank. I mean, it may, as Trump gets worse and worse, it's like people do want to tune into something, and hopefully MSNBC won't bend the knee. But they need to fortify the lineup to actually like attract new viewership.
Yeah, and you could. There's people that you could bring in. You could try to attract a younger audience, a more progressive audience. You could, I don't know, maybe like look ahead to what is obviously going to be an incredibly vigorous Democratic primary the next time around. We're gonna have a new generation. Like you could try to maybe appeal to some of those people, actually acknowledge that they exist. And I don't see it yet. I don't see it. Well, we're gonna read some comments, everyone. Let's jump to that. Zane, hey Zane, member for 49 months says, I met Francesca last night, it was awesome.
Oh, Zane.
Nice, Ida Rodriguez was amazing and Francesca ruled. John, you should perform with Francesca on 219. Yeah, I'll go first and then you will look even funnier by comparison.
You can do the warm up, I'll let you.
I wish I could. I wish I could pull up Padma Lakshmi, but I don't think that I have it.
Boo, Padma Lakshmi, boo.
She did some stand up. Come on.
Boo.
Oh, you're ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, I wish that I could. If I could snap my fingers and have a skill set, that's what it would be, but I just don't see it happening.
John,
but I'm glad
if you tell the Dragon Squad you're gonna do a hot 3 to 5 minutes, they will roll up and they'll laugh at anything you say. You could pull out a rubber chicken and they'll laugh.
They'll laugh at me. Anyway,
exactly.
Okay, we'll talk. Let's talk about it. Chi Massey upgraded their membership to tier 2. Thank you for that, much appreciated. James Hickson gifted a membership. Thank you. Benjamin Morrill gifted yet another membership. I wish they gave like on Twitch, they show how many people have given. So like I see like both of them have, and Benjamin every day it does. I want to know how many, because I feel like, I don't know, that charity should be acknowledged in full. I wish they could do that.
Charity.
Thomas Anakin says, do a hot 5 on Pop-Tarts.
Exactly.
Maybe I could do a full show.
How come?
Did you ever
cinnamon?
Notice?
I don't know about Pop-Tarts. How come?
Brown sugar and cinnamon, they come together, and then I forget what I was gonna say, and I pull a rubber chicken out. Anyway, Skittlebutt says it'll be like Gaffigan's Hot Pockets. I wish. Anyway, with that said, let's turn away from the tomfoolery and back to serious stuff, starting with this.
Here's the big question. Is this over? Because my understanding, Alan Dershowitz's understanding, is once you get a pardon, you no longer have the Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. If they go before your committees, every one of these pardoned family members, don't they have to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help them God?
So is the rare opportunity for Sean Hannity to kind of be right about a specific point and also generally terrible about literally everything? Because what he's saying there, he's talking with James Comer and Jim Jordan. These are two Congress people that spent the entire span of the Biden presidency trying and failing to find evidence of some sort of criminality and doing literally nothing else as Congress people during that time. And Joe Biden made the apparently controversial decision to provide these preemptive pardons to a bunch of the people that he thought, and this I guess is conspiratorial, the Republicans would spend the next 50 years investigating. And after doing that unprecedented thing, Hannity's immediate response is, oh, well, that means we should go after them even more, which I feel like kind of proves Joe Biden's point that they're gonna bring them in even knowing that they can't actually charge them with a crime. And so this is just your reminder, it's never gonna end. They're never gonna stop investigating these people, not because they think that they've committed some sort of crime. I'm sure many of them have, but those are the same sorts of crimes the Republicans commit and they don't actually want those to be investigated. No, just they need a distraction and they will find it. And so let's turn now to James Comer. So he's speaking with Sean Hannity. He looked into years of the Biden family trying to find corruption. He found literally nothing. It was an embarrassment. Here is what he now has to say.
I would argue that he forgot one person, himself.
Well, that what we said in our investigation was that we found 10 different Biden family members, including Joe Biden, profited from the influence peddling schemes. 10 different Biden family members would receive incremental payments. And ironically, 6 of the pardons came from family that received payments.
I would let the American people know the truth, pardoned or not. And let's see if they tell the truth when they have to, under oath.
Okay, so again, Comer could have presented that evidence either in front of Congress or in front of Fox News at any point of the last couple of years, and he was unable to do that. But it's a serious charge, If politicians are they're becoming rich, and if there's the possibility of corruption, you need to look into it. And I love that Comer is saying that literally days after Donald Trump launched a crypto exchange that apparently brought in tens of billions of dollars for him overnight in an untraceable fashion from Americans, from people in other countries, from businessmen, from people who serve in governments. Corruption that is so massive that human eyes can't actually make it out as an object. It's just a massive mountain of corruption. He's like, I think we need to go after some Biden family member that you've literally never heard of before. And so Francesca, he's right about the Fifth Amendment thing. I guess if they're brought in to testify, they're not allowed to take the Fifth Amendment or something. But the fact that they're still gonna do these investigations to help distract from the devastation wrought by the tariffs and all that's going on with mass deportation, everything, it's just so sad and also depressing to know that we're gonna have to look forward to this.
I'm actually, I have an unconventional take, which is I'm like, do it. I really don't do it. Absolutely talk about the Bidens for the next 4 years as you have control of the White House, the Supreme Court, and both chambers of Congress. Absolutely. Number one, I don't really care that much about Joe Biden and his family, in general. I'm like, they're fine, they'll be fine. Biden, can go away as far as I'm concerned. But number two, it is a perfect signal to all of the voters that they don't care about their needs. They don't care about anything. They don't actually care about making the economy work for them. They just care about giving tax breaks to their billionaire friends, which they will do and enshrine permanently. They don't care about the deficit at all. They don't care about housing, healthcare, climate change, infrastructure, education. They don't care about any of that. They care about Hunter Biden, his massive hog, and him using his dad in order to be like, cool, I'm qualified for this job. I'm also a lawyer and I've done this before, but my dad happened to at one point be the vice president. That's great, I love that. I love that for them. It reminds me of when they gained control of Congress and then spent, what was it, 2 weeks, 10 days, fighting among themselves and trying to whatever, oust the speaker, then oust that speaker, and nothing got done. It was great. Honestly, I think government shutdowns and going after Biden are actually politically advantageous to people who want to like prove just how feckless and stupid these people are.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, I kind of like that. I want to add something to it, but first, I just want to make sure that everyone knows that it's not just Congress that's going to be pushing for this. Let's go to this brief shot and then we'll discuss some more.
Joe Biden ran and said he would never do preemptive pardons. It was an issue that came up when you were leaving your first time.
He heard that I was going to do it. I didn't want to do it. I was given the option. They said, sir, would you like to pardon everybody, including yourself? I said, I'm not going to pardon anybody. We didn't do anything wrong. This guy went around giving everybody pardons. And you know, the funny thing, maybe the sad thing, is he didn't give himself a pardon. And if you look at it, it all had to do with him.
Yeah, so he's indicating their support for, he's gonna try to investigate Joe Biden. Like, again, the weaponization, all that stuff that he said, no, he wants to do that. He wants to do it against Joe Biden. And we didn't do anything wrong except for all the crimes that you committed, that you received protection from the machinery that runs America because you're rich and well-connected. You committed all those crimes. I mean, you did the fraud and you stole the documents and you did the insurrection and you sexually assaulted that woman, among others, and you did all of those things. So let's not forget about that. Also, in terms of the pardons, this is a massive distraction. He just pardoned a ton of people who tried to sack the Capitol and end democracy in America, that beat cops and killed cops. And he also he pardoned the Silk Road guy who helped to make untraceable drug sales possible, even though he says that, you know, regular petty drug dealers should be shot in the head like they do in the Philippines or whatever. And today I saw that he pardoned 2 people who killed a young black man while driving intentionally recklessly, according to the judge. He let them off the hook too. And so, nope, only the Biden pardons are the ones that should be looked into. So look, I get what you're saying, Francesca, about them not getting anything done. I think that's true. I don't want them to get anything done. But I also want to make sure that we never let people forget, people who watch our shows and as many people as possible, that there is an opportunity cost to that. Simply because they're not doing anything and therefore not doing anything terrible that they might want to do, every single thing that they would have laid on the lap of Joe Biden, they are responsible for. So egg prices are now going up as a result of H1N1. That is their fault and their responsibility because they're in charge now. When they're shutting down, you know, the CDC's ability to communicate, and they're shutting down research under the NIH, they're responsible for that. Okay, we got more fires in California. It's their responsibility to fix that. If they don't help the economy, it is in their lap. We're not simply going to allow them to either do terrible fascistic things or nothing. They are gonna own every failure, every inadequacy across America from here on out. And as long as we get that in, then I'm fine with them wasting their time.
And as long as we stop, treating the Biden story as real. I mean, that's the responsibility. What is the media gonna do when they start doing these investigations? Are we gonna say, well, actually there was a little something in the Biden administration. Well, I don't know, he shouldn't have used his position, while straight up Trump is trading meme coin while in office? Like that's the real thing, is how do we treat it? If we treat it like it's serious, that's a problem. If we treat it like it's the circus sideshow that it truly is, then that's all fine. I want to do a quick correction because I've made this mistake before. H5N1 is the bird flu. H1N1, swine flu.
That's true. I might have said the same thing too. I don't remember for sure, but thank you for clarifying that. Because despite the fact that we're just on the internet or whatever, we believe that what we do is serious and we have a responsibility to you. Unlike CNN, which I guess is just gonna show deference or whatever. That's what Donald Trump has been sorely needing, deference. Anyway, let's move to more of what he might well be doing, which again, there will be consequences of this and he will own them. Take a look at this.
You know, what they've done with FEMA is so bad. FEMA is a whole nother discussion because all it does is complicate everything. FEMA has not done their job for the last 4 years. You know, I had FEMA working really well. We had hurricanes in Florida, we had Alabama, tornadoes, but unless you have certain types of leadership, it gets in the way. And FEMA is gonna be a whole big discussion very shortly because I'd rather see the states take care of their own problems. If they have a tornado someplace and if they let that state, Oklahoma is very competent. I love Oklahoma. 77 out of 77 districts. And that's never been done.
I think at the end there, he's talking about Oklahoma supporting him a lot or whatever. Who the hell cares? God, he's such a weird little person. But anyway, the important part there is that he is talking about ending FEMA, ending the federal capacity or interest in helping states deal with devastating natural disasters. And look, there's gonna be a lot of things that he throws out, and we're gonna have to have a constant discussion. Is this a thing that he actually means, or is he just trying to distract us? I would assume that this is going to be a hard sell, considering that the states that typically get hit the worst by these disasters are red states. I mean, telling Florida like, oh yeah, no, the next 100 hurricanes that hit you, you're on your own. I don't know why they'd be down for that, but who the hell knows? But he's saying there, FEMA was great under him, I guess because it did what he wanted. And if he didn't want to help out California with fires, or if he wanted to let Puerto Rico be absolutely destroyed by a hurricane, then he could just do that, and it's totally cool. And now he wants to end it. So one more thing that you could have counted on reliably for the federal government to do to help you out if you're hit by earthquakes or flooding or tornadoes or fires or whatever, hurricanes, terrible winter storms, maybe not in the near future. Francesca, what do you make of this?
Again, it's one thing that I'm not surprised, and I think he will do it. I think it will happen, and here's how it's gonna go down. He's gonna revoke FEMA funding, and then if there is a natural disaster, which is obviously a man-made disaster caused by fossil fuel companies and the ultra rich flying their private jets all over the place, leading to, again, climate change and climate chaos and erratic weather, all that. When it happens, each individual state will go begging Donald Trump and the federal government for assistance. That's how it's gonna work, and that's how he would like it. That way, he personally gets to decide whether he helps out Gavin Newsom, Ron DeSantis, whichever governor will, give him something in exchange, but he wants to hold the purse strings. He wants to have them come begging, and effectively what he's doing now with the federal budget in terms of enshrining the tax breaks and linking the budget to California wildfire relief aid is he's blackmailing the states. So he wants to be the mob boss. There should be no slush fund that says you get this automatically. What are you gonna do for me? That's how he wants it to work.
You are 100% right. I should have thought of that. You're 100. That's what it's gonna be. And I still think, hopefully there will be enough red, state red governor pushback to not want to have to do that, because I mean, obviously they'd have a much easier chance getting it. They want, like, tax dollars are already divvied out in an incredibly unequal fashion. Blue states pay in more than they get, red states get more than they pay in. This will just accelerate that. I hope that this is too much, but yeah, you could be right. It's exactly the sort of petty strongman dictatorship that he'd like to run. He can punish blue states. He can, hell, if Gavin Newsom maybe has some like terrible wildfires, don't give him any money. No matter what he promises, the state will be utterly decimated, and it hurts Gavin Newsom in his run for president or something.
Right, I mean, it's
like
the same thing.
That would be his power then.
They're saying they're gonna threaten any state that is a sanctuary state or city that's a sanctuary city, obviously for undocumented immigrants. This is a perfect way to do that. All right, if you don't turn over these people to ICE, I'm going to withhold aid for you, which I think is a really interesting question for someone like Newsom, who I have massive critiques of from the left, to say, okay, rubber's hitting the road here. Now you actually, like, what are you gonna do about this? Are you gonna sell out undocumented people in order to get this money? You know what I mean? And I think that's a question. And so, I mean, I think it really does make, I mean, I would say absolutely not no. Let's secede from the union, but that's just me. So I think it's a terrible question, but it's an important one.
Yeah, and so I guess, if I'm being Johnny 2.0 or whatever, I can be like, oh, well then, okay, we're gonna do that. It's gonna be terrible, and then AOC will be the one, deciding. But I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want, well, then when she becomes president, then she also can. Oh, Florida, you got hit by a hurricane? Yeah, maybe we'll give you some money. I don't know. You're kind of anti-democratic. You're not taking climate change very seriously. I'm gonna need to see some change there. Maybe some protections for trans people. I don't want that to be how our system of government works. That's terrible. Nobody should want that. But the right, what you just described, if he went on Fox News and said, this is what I'm gonna set up, they would absolutely cheer it.
And it's also like there's Republicans in California. There are many Republicans. There's millions of Republicans in California.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? Do you know, this again, it's the same thing when like we were breaking our brains talking about Gaza and the treatment of civilians, right? And the idea that just because they so-called voted for Hamas, they deserve to be murdered. Never mind the fact that so many of them, the children, did not vote for Hamas, were not old enough to vote for Hamas, but it was seen as okay to indiscriminately punish an entire group of people for the actions of a small amount. And we made the corollary of like, look, if you took red counties and you said, oh, because you voted for Trump and there's a Democratic administration, we're going to like murder you, or it's okay to deny you aid, that would be wildly like disgusting, right? I mean, that is the definition of like political retribution, of ethnic cleansing. It's just, again, yes, that tribalism, we have to name it when really fascists do it.
100%, you're totally right. We're gonna take our second break. We come back, we're gonna take a look at some of the effects we're already seeing from the mass deportation push, the industrial deportation that's going on. It's already having effect, and we'll break it down after this. Sorry, we were gonna cover the immigration thing, but it might be seen as too critical of Trump. And I really feel like we shouldn't be poking the sitting president in the eye. I feel like we should be showing some deference. So even though it's totally true, I don't think that it's like a journalist's job to talk about the things that are happening. I think they should just talk about whatever the president wants them to talk about. I think that's what it should be, right? Damar says in the members' comments, we have all of you at TYT plus the viewers and maybe a couple hands of people on our side in politics. But sadly, even with all of us, there's still not enough. I truly hope we can be enough to make a change. Personal beliefs, the world/universe have to be in balance. So as much good as we put out there has to be the opposite side of that balance. So we'd have to push out even more positive and tip the scales. Well, I think we all should. Now, I believe that we have more than that on our side. There's a lot of good people at the Majority Report and Democracy Now! And Farron's awesome. There's a lot of good. There's a lot of good people. They're not on CNN, but
Kyle Kalinske and Crystal Ball are wonderful. Myself is wonderful. Me is wonderful. I is wonderful.
Yes, we got Nina out there. We got a lot of good people. It's just that, all the resources basically that were behind something. We don't have that. So anyway. J Carr, member for 4 full years, says, why does James Comer look like he just escaped from one of Elon's Roblox sessions? Looks like someone spilled Hulk's blood, a head wound, but no brain. I get some of those references. I don't know about the Roblox, but also if Elon says he plays Roblox, he's probably just paying someone. Anyway, Cloud Dragon, member for 33 months. Thank you so much, much appreciated. Grandma Sunshine Dragon, member for 43 months. Hey, Grandma, hope to see you in the members hangout, which is happening today, 30 minutes after the show. Hope to see you there. Says PSA, feeling down, depressed, angry, and rage. Don't let the current political situation get you down. Join us today, 12 p.m. Pacific time, always a good time. Join John, Zane, 00, others, and me, hugs. Thank you for that advertisement for the members hangout. I do appreciate it. Technology that says Dr. Mr. Cody, some more news guy. Yes, so I've tried to. Yes. I think we've reached out to before. Obviously, very busy, but I would love to have him on. Quaker Lady says I also like Brian Tyler Cohen. There's a lot of good people. TV newspapers, I guess, are done. I suppose TV news, I guess, is done.
Substack, and I'm on Substack now, but like Substack used to be sort of a place for like weird contrarians who got iced out of other news outlets. Substack's kind of crushing it lately. Like I follow like Robert Reich on there and like many others.
That's true. Robert Reich is always fun.
Yeah, Taylor Lorenz is on there. Like there's just some Jessica Valenti. There's some good journalists on Substack, so I wouldn't sneeze at that. And I'm starting to learn more about it too. So.
That's interesting. Yeah, I haven't really, like there's a few people that I read on it, but I just got it got so drilled into me in the early year that like, oh, they're just trying to fill this with crazy right wingers.
Yes,
that I sort of,
yes.
But now
they were.
Should I do a Substack? Should I do that? Would anyone?
I mean, I think so. I think yes, I do think it would be good, and I think people would sub to you, and it would be, it'd be good.
That would be fun. I haven't done much political writing. There was a period where I was doing a lot of op-eds back during like the 2016 election or something, but it's been some time. But anyway, yes, there are, and by the way, our chats are full of people pointing out those that they feel that they can continue to follow and trust. And so there's a good number of people. So we do have that. When I stress all of the things that are that we're facing right now, that's true, and we need to acknowledge that. But we also should acknowledge what we have on our side and the good people that we have on our side, because it's more than you might think. Okay, there's more comments. I think it's gonna have to wait until after our next break. We've got a couple of serious stories to cover to close out the first hour, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Okay, everybody, couple important stories. If you're just joining us now, hit the like button and let's jump into this. The consequences of Donald Trump's insane industrial deportation machine are going to be devastating, and also they are already devastating. We don't have to wait, it is here. There are now reports that field workers are not showing up to work out of very justifiable and understandable fear of deportation. So we have reports coming out of Bakersfield, California. Apparently they saw a massive drop off in the number of field workers showing up for work on Tuesday, while ICE agents and unmarked Chevy Suburbans rounded up and detained immigrants in the area, profiling individuals they believed to be field workers. The end result: acres of unpicked oranges roasting in the California sun at the height of the season. So that's the downside. The crop is probably lost, but the good side is all of those damn immigrants who are working hard to make a living, they'll be gone. We don't need them, except that we desperately need them. Does this seem stupid and self-destructive yet to anyone? Well, it's gonna get worse. Casey Creamer, president of the industry group California Citrus Mutual, said, "We're in the middle of our citrus harvesting. This sent shockwaves through the entire community. People aren't going to work and kids aren't going to school. Yesterday, about 25% of the workforce. Today, 75% didn't show up." By the way, I looked it up. The Public Policy Institute of California says that more than 90% of California farm workers are immigrants. More than half of them are undocumented. And a professor of economics says you're talking about a recession level event if this is a new long-term norm, arguing that the end result of Trump's policies will be felt in the grocery store checkout lines across America. By the way, I believe Harvard, their business review, they just put out an article saying that his trade and deportation plans could be absolutely disastrous for the US food supply, because the issue is, so we wreck our labor capacity to do this work ourselves. Okay, that's terrible and totally needless. We don't have to do it, shooting ourselves in the foot for nothing. Okay, well, I guess we could import the food. Oh no, wait, we're putting massive tariffs on them, so we can't get it there either. So you are getting absolutely screwed over, and as AOC will say, ripped off, coming and going over this, and you're gonna feel it. You voted for Trump to bring down the price of eggs. They're 100% going to go up by design as a result of these policies. And we have more of what's happening at the border, but Francesca, I know this is an issue you care a lot about.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm sure there will be other workers who are documented, maybe in just like white, straight, cis men who can do the picking, the hard picking, because it's a man's job. Aren't they just gonna go and flood the fields in Bakersfield right now? Are they lining up? Is that bringing the jobs back? They don't, no? Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, they don't want to do that backbreaking work. Oh, they don't want to actually get paid what is being offered. Yeah, this is a problem. This is a massive problem. This is just one example of how I hate to say crackdown. I really don't want to use the word crackdown, but the draconian anti-immigration laws are going to impact us economically. This will mean the prices of oranges are going to go up, right? This is going to mean that the bosses here are going to be like not being able to find workers, and I think we can say both things. Like there should be there should be standards. People should not be able to take advantage of undocumented work by a couple things. There should be standards on pay, number one, and number two, There should be pathways to citizenship and or robust guest worker programs so that people, when they come to the United States, they can also leave the United States, right? That it is not illegal for them to do so. They can work during certain seasons and go back to Mexico or Central America or their home countries on off seasons. Like, it's not that effing hard.
But at risk.
Exactly, many people do, and at risk. But this is like, John, this is what happens when this is literally like cart before horse. This is what happens when the immigration system is so broken, and then you get like some ideas in like, the early, like the 2013, 2014, the Gang of 8, the Gang of 10, everyone's trying to come in and solve the immigration crisis. And then they get just cucked by Donald Trump, who's like, nah, you all like don't love the white man enough. And they're like, okay, I guess you're right, I don't love the white man enough. No more immigration reform.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
I think this is amazing too. Like, hey, we're in this new thing where like the brosphere is like, we're gonna make America healthy again. You know how you do that? You make raw milk possible, and you also crack down on immigration to make it literally impossible for people to eat vegetables or fruit. Yeah, that'll work out long term. That's gonna be absolutely great. By the way, at the same time, Trump has closed down the asylum system. That's done. He's sending 10,000 troops to the southern border. He says the reason is he has to stop migrants from bringing in communicable diseases. But see, we already covered this like a week ago. They were like digging around trying to find evidence of diseases, and they couldn't. Whatever, doesn't matter. Let's just say that we did anyway. Oh, but and they have to do this, everybody, because they're so worried about disease coming into this country. Well, I don't understand why. If it does, just don't test for it. Isn't that the solution? Also, at the same time, he has instructed the CDC, the FDA, and HHS to pause all external communications. So if the CDC sees something that's concerning, they're not supposed to tell people about it. So kind of getting mixed signals about wanting to make sure people don't get diseases here. Also, the National Institutes for Health, he has frozen their meetings, their travel, their communications, and their hiring. They do scientific research in the area of health and disease and all that. Done. Again, they might discover something, and we don't want that. They might discover that like a major company is using a chemical that they shouldn't, and that's just bad for business. So let's just keep having people ingest it again. Make America healthy again. Or make them unhealthy, but they won't know about it because science doesn't exist anymore. That's fun. And also, and they also changed it so that ICE can now raid churches and schools. Again, because while they're making America healthy again, they're also deeply committed Christians. And so they want churches to be a place where men in black bust down the door and start hauling people out, which I'm pretty sure is what Jesus would do. Anyway, a lot of insanity here.
They've never been consistent, I'm sorry, on pandemic stuff, right? Trump's never been consistent. He's shut down the border under Title 42 to keep out COVID, but also was like, COVID, that's not real, that's a cold. And we don't have to do any kind of mask mandates or shutdown orders or anything. So he's never been consistent on it. It's interesting that actually farm workers are people who are coming down with bird flu. In Louisiana, a man, I don't know if he was a farm worker, just died earlier this month of bird flu. So it is transferable to humans. And it's amazing that a pandemic was the thing that sealed the deal on Trump's first administration, and yet he's gonna play real fast and loose with the H1N1 or H5N1.
Yeah, and so I guess the dark lining of that is we know that people will turn against them when it spreads, but we also know that they're gonna let it spread. If there's the only thing that will save us from pandemics is if they don't exist. Because if they do, not only will Trump do nothing, we already know at least half the country is not going to do a goddamn thing.
Yes.
Like they will freely cough lethal illnesses into your mouth, okay? And so everyone buckle up. Again, we're entering a dangerous time, and a lot of the danger is not metaphorical, it is literal. Now let's jump to this. With Donald Trump now in office, the DEI witch hunt has begun. And in addition to basically destroying even the basic concept of diversity, equity, or inclusion in government, the Trump administration is also looking to set up snitches that will find out if anything is being done that you could describe as kind of like DEI. No, we got to root that out too. So we're at the point in this fascist regime where they're turning neighbor against neighbor and getting them to rat each other out for, I don't know, talking to someone of a different race. We'll see how far this goes. But emails have already gone out to federal employees instructing them to report evidence of hidden DEI programs. You can see it right there. Ken Klippenstein spread this on Twitter yesterday. And the idea is, so they're saying these programs divide Americans by race. Wait, no, that's their job. They're gonna be dividing us by race, the races that get to work and the races that don't. That'll be fun. And result in shameful discrimination. They're literally racing towards discrimination. It wastes taxpayer dollars. Was this free, doing this whole purge? That's gonna be free? No, we're gonna pay for that. And so there's also a bit of an issue with this, because very often when they've set up these systems where you can report people who've gotten an abortion or report people who are trans or whatever, they tend to get trolled. And it looks like that's what's gonna happen with this, because Craig sent an email to, it's DEIA-truth@opm.gov. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. That might result in somebody watching this video trolling him. But that person put up some suspicious hires. These are people who are put in their positions solely because of their race and or gender, despite the fact that they are wholly unqualified for their jobs, and in some cases have criminal records. And that's Donald Trump, JD Vance, Pete Hegseth, RFK Jr., Elon Musk, Stephen Miller. I mean, there's way more than that. People who have been chosen for dark DEI purposes. And so, totally true. He's chosen people just because he's doing DEI for Fox hosts. Also, by the way, more substantive, Francesca, someone raised this. I think it was in the replies to Ken Klippenstein. Do you know what one of the most institutionalized DEI-esque programs we have across America is?
Is it
a sort of person that we try to make sure have job opportunities?
Oh yeah, I mean, is it? I think it's the GI Bill.
Yeah, it's veterans, 100%. And by the way, we should do that. I think that's great. But we do. We say purely because in the past you were in the military, even if that has nothing to do with the job, we are going to incentivize people to hire you. That is DEI. DEI is not just a racial thing, it's across many categories. So are we going to be killing those programs? Obviously we're not, but you could be reporting that to this stupid hotline if you wanted to. What do you think about this?
My question is Rachel Dolezal now black? Like, does she, because I feel like the black, like the African American race is inherently discriminatory against white people. And so like, can Rachel now be officially black to have some white representation among black Americans?
I think that's progressive. I don't know.
I mean, I'm pretty sure she's now black. This is beautiful.
That email once again, maybe.
DEIA-truth@opm.gov. DEIA-truth@opm.gov. Please report wherever you see a DEI hire, a very suspicious DEI hire. And in all seriousness, this is disgusting. And everyone who is left of center or even a centrist should be absolutely outraged. This is saying that the small minimal programs to try and have a more diverse federal workforce, wherever they may be, and the government does employ a lot of Black Americans, Latino Americans, Asian Americans, that is folly, that's not good, that is actually racist against white people, something that doesn't exist, but of course Stephen Miller thinks it does. And we cannot allow that. And it is so wholly amazing that the MAGA movement, that Trump, that all of these folks, that just sort of white fragility in general can be so like offended and oppressed by a small program, a minuscule, trying to just make a dent in it. Hey, could we just have a few more women in the get? No, absolutely not. We're not asking for equity, it's just a little bit. No, absolutely not. And so, that's what they get. So we're gonna have to go for the whole enchilada, baby. Matriarchy now, let's go.
Love it. Okay, well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for the first hour of the show, but we have a lot more to talk about, including some fun stuff coming up in the aftermath, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Aftermath, one and all. I see in the chat, Starshine Song says that they hope that Franny's new show gets extended beyond the 100 days.
Yeah, maybe it'll be 200 days.
Maybe.
And then 300 and then 400. And how many days are in a year?
10,000.
400
a
about?
lot, too many. Okay, so let's see. Boomer Dragon Cat says apparently CNN wants to make sure they have a negative following before they crash and burn. Jesus.
They're like, it's like last call at a bar. You're like, all right, I don't want to kick everybody out. Give them a warning.
Maybe they're trying to pull like a Costanza. Like they really want to like just mess everything up on the way out. I don't know. Okay, let's see. Romulus says the price good men pay for indifference to politics is to be governed by your, I think that's supposed to say inferiors. It says interiors, which is funny and maybe deeply poetic. But thank you for the quote. Ryan L says, bet those same people cry and crap their pants if a Dem joked about Pearl Harbor, same enemy, but it was us, so then it matters. Yeah, Muad'Dib says, hello, John and Francesca. Dune was nominated for Best Picture. Have you had time to reconsider your take? Also, Francesca, how you Dune?
Wow. I've got enough time to reconsider that joke.
I thought Dune 2 was fine.
I thought Dune 2 was good. I like Dune 2.
I liked it. I thought, if you're telling me that Florence Pugh is gonna be in a movie, I feel like she needs to be in more than like 2 minutes of it. But
it's gonna get so hot. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about how hot it's gonna get.
We'll see. You're talking about the desert temperatures of Dune.
A forced marriage between Florence Pugh and Timothy Chalamet. Oh no.
That ruins it. That so ruins it.
I mean, it's also hot with Zendaya, but or Zendaya.
I think you got more than enough there. You can take Timothy Chalamet out of it entirely. But anyway, I don't know what my best picture is. I did not see a lot of new movies of last year. I guess Alien Romulus probably, I suppose, is the
award season is always like, nope. Saw
I
Wicked.
used to watch a lot. I used to, because Arlene gets the screeners and everything, but it's just I don't have time to watch new movies. And we've mostly been watching classics recently. But anyway, I watched 12 Angry Men for the first time. It's from like 1953.
So good. How good is that?
Good. I was like shockingly into it.
Yep.
Anyway, we'll talk more about movies another time. Let's jump into what's going on out there in the podcasts, starting with this.
So like all of these people that were scared before about like being associated with him from the most common basic level to the most elite level, they're all like, they're all in now because this is now a billionaire feeding frenzy. It is a kiss-ass race.
Man.
It is, how can I show how much fealty I have to Donald Trump in order to get my digs?
AOC is 100% right there. It's something that we are also very worried about. It is a feeding frenzy. It is a kiss-ass fest. And so she brings up two concerns there. So you have the oligarchs, which we'll return to, and also how everybody is just basically just like, yeah, whatever. She talks about how Oscar de la Renta was designing dresses for it, previously wouldn't have. All the people that might have not wanted to be affiliated with Trump in the first term, now it's just whatever. It's just him, ignore the fact that he's more dangerous now, more aggressive now than he was the first time around. If you were gonna say this is unacceptable, it makes literally more sense now to say it than it did the first time around. But they're sort of bending down, and we'll talk about that. But she also wants to focus on the oligarchy and why that's so scary, why that's so worrisome. So let's go to a little bit more from her appearance with Jon Stewart.
And I think that what's really important for people to understand, and like now and every day of this administration, is that you're being ripped off. You're being ripped off, dude. Like everyone is being ripped off. And he goes up there and he says what he wants to say, but he's just the quintessential New York con man.
100% right. And look, everybody's been pointing out that Trump is a con man for a very long time, but I'm glad that she's pointing out that we have to communicate to the people who supported him that they are being ripped off. And that's why I almost think, I've never said this before, I feel like AOC should come on our show because I feel like we agree on that. I've been really trying to stress over the last year, communicating to the people who are either enthusiastically MAGA or the ones who've just fallen into it because they're frustrated with the status quo or whatever, all of the many ways that he is utterly screwing you over and ripping you off. And I'm glad that she's focusing on it there. What do you think?
Okay, first of all, everyone needs to just at AOC to go on Damage Report. That's what you do. Obviously, you troll people. That's the best way to get someone to go on your shows, to troll people.
Obviously.
Definitely say something about her appearance.
She will definitely be on your new show before she comes on the Damage
Report. Maybe.
100%.
Well, it is a race, and I will win this now that you've set it out. No, but I think it's really important though to understand that we can call Trump whatever we want, whatever is accurate. He is a criminal. He is a con man. He is a liar. He is a rapist. He abuses his role as president. He's a mob boss. Here's the difference though, and I feel like the 2024 election has taught us something. You can drill down on all these names, you can call him all the things, you can talk about American democracy. People don't care. People are like, but is he delivering for me? The answer is no. The answer was no. No one can point to a single thing in his first term that made their lives better. In fact, many of us can point to a life that is no longer existing because of Donald Trump and his lies and around COVID specifically. So this is where the rubber hits the road. It's like, it's important for us to call him out. It's important for us to say what it is, but it's more important for us to show how everything he is doing only benefits the rich, only and squarely and solely. And every time he does a wink and a nod, like he did in the inauguration speech to the working class, he says workers. He says, oh yeah, the workers, the auto workers. He doesn't mean unions. So he likes you so long as you're loyal to him. He likes you so long as you don't ask for more. He likes you so long as you know your place. If you're a woman, if you're a person of color, even if you're gay, if you're trans even, right? They like you even so long as you agree, yes, I'm a second-class citizen. Yes, I don't deserve to organize with my fellow workers. No, I don't deserve a wage raise. No, I don't deserve to be able to bargain for better healthcare. All of that. So like that, I think is really important for us to be like, okay, how has your life improved? It has not. We need to point that out every single day.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's totally fine with you as long as you don't expect anything, as long as you stay isolated and alone, as long as you only consort with people that are exactly like you, as long as you stay uneducated. They're perfectly happy to have you aboard. You won't get much from it. But anyway, and you're 100% right. And we're gonna continue to point that. It seems like AOC is gonna do that. We're gonna do that as much as possible. Remember, he's in charge. We have high expectations, as one should, of a president. I know in advance he's going to fail by design and incompetence combined, and we're gonna be reminding people of that. Now, very briefly, I just wanna jump to, should we save it? Maybe we save it. The Charles Payne, you know what? We're gonna save it. I'm gonna try to be responsible, make sure that we get to all of our stories, and the two that we have coming up are very important. So why don't we jump right into this? The FTC has published a preliminary report that you're unlikely to see much discussion of in the news, but it's actually really interesting and really worrying for what's to come. They're looking into what is being termed surveillance pricing. That's a confusing mix of words, but basically it's where companies are using information that they have about you, about your demographics, about where you are, even how, like when you're on one of their websites, how you move your mouse cursor on the page, and then they change the price you pay based on that information. So they're surveilling you and then pricing based on that. And for some time they've been looking into this. And they apparently found in this initial report, 250 different businesses, including grocery stores, apparel, health and beauty retailers, convenience stores, building and hardware stores, department and discount stores. So all the stores, I think, using consumer information to help target prices, profile consumers, or rank products that are shown to shoppers. Companies most often said they were using the tools to boost revenue by increasing sales volumes, and they used both online and in store. Now, look, there's a lot that's in this that's worrisome. There's a lot that's not in this that I would also love to know. How are they doing this in store? I'm worried about that. I know there was a concern last year when digital price tags in stores were rolling out, and they were talking about like every minute changing the price of ice cream based on how hot it gets and everything. All of this is dystopian and cyberpunk and terrible, and it's all over the place. So they apparently focused mainly on intermediary firms. These are middlemen hired by these hundreds of retailers that can then algorithmically tweak and target their prices. That includes things like MasterCard. So you have the actual credit card companies. You have banks like JP Morgan Chase. You have software companies, Task Software, Pros, Accenture, and also consultants like McKinsey. So across like the actual retailers, those who are managing the transactions, those who are setting up the algorithms, those who are advising companies on that they should do this, it's all coming together. And they say that they're using, this is a quote from FTC Chair Lina Khan, outgoing, unfortunately, it's not gonna be around. They frequently use people's personal information to set targeted, tailored prices for goods and services, which means in practice, what is the most they can charge you where you'll still buy it? Now, that used to be a thing in classic the economy where you do that for a product. What's the most we can charge people? Now it's what's the most I can charge any individual person? How desperately do they need this thing? Did they just get paid? Do they live in an area where more is being bought? And so this doesn't necessarily mean that prices have to go up. But I think we all know that it means that prices will go up on average, and this is going to screw you over. It's being pushed by companies like McKinsey to screw you over so these companies can make more money. And unfortunately, Francesca, we're no longer gonna have leadership control of the FTC that's gonna be willing to critique this. We're certainly not gonna have a Congress who will pass a bill to restrict this, a president who would sign that bill. That's definitely not gonna happen. And so I'm glad that we have this information sort of on the way out for Joe Biden and Lina Khan. But what do you make of this?
This is exactly what we're talking about when we say, will Donald Trump make your life better concretely, economically? Will he put more money in your pocket and help you save? The answer is no, because he will not regulate any corporations. He will not sue these corporations like Lina Khan under the FTC has been suing these corporations for their illegal practices. It should be illegal to track you and surveil you and then serve you up a different price based on who you are, based on how much money they know you make, based on what day it is, based on, yes, whether you got paid, what the weather is like. All the things that John said, look, we're still in the middle of wildfires here in Los Angeles. People are buying air purifiers. People are buying window coverings. People are buying masks. People are buying cleaning supplies. Under this regime of surveillance pricing, they say, oh, we're gonna surge price this. It is a way to Uberify everything in our lives, right? So that, oh, you need it more, that's when it's gonna be more expensive, right? And it's like, that should be illegal. It will not be deemed illegal. And John, the last time you came on the Bitchuation Room was this last Tuesday, if everyone didn't see that, youtube.com/FrannyFio. But before that, it was David Dayen at the American Prospect magazine, and the American Prospect has done awesome reporting on this. In fact, some of their reporting led to Lina Khan actually investigating in this and led to these lawsuits. But look, it's not enough that they made hand over fist money in the pandemic, John. They have to find a way to squeeze even more out of us.
Yep, 100%. No, you're totally right. And now I want to link this to the past story we were talking about. So in theory, with Lina Khan, we get the investigation. Maybe something could be done, but probably not. I have such low expectations for anyone. But now this is just going to continue. So they're gonna the company, the consultants are going to keep pushing more retailers to do this. The algorithm's going to get more and more sophisticated. It's going to occur online. It's going to occur in stores, and so it is going to be on the opposition to point out that Donald Trump and the Republicans are just laying down and let this happen.
Yes.
And I guess we're not supposed to be like academic about it. I guess you need someone who's going to come out and be like, you're getting a raw deal, you're getting screwed over worse than you've ever seen, and Donald Trump is just sitting there while you get screwed over. So maybe we need someone to do that.
We do.
But it's going to be
we
true.
Literally do. We need to create. Here's what we do. I mean, and please don't
Pete
do this.
Buttigieg can do it on Fox.
I'm sorry.
I mean, he has been doing that. I don't want to be president.
I'm sorry. Like, good on him, but like, we don't need Pete Buttigieg right now. We need to create AI Donald Trump, who simply says all of those things. You're getting ripped off. Exactly what you said. They're cheating you. I'm cheating you every single day. Here's how. That's what we need to do. In fact, replace this show with just AI Donald Trump to tell you all the ways you're being ripped off. I love it. And here's the thing about this AI Donald Trump. I love this idea, even though I hate AI, is he's Mr. AI. He's backed by all these AI billionaires, so he can't say it's illegal, right? Otherwise, he'd have to give us all rights about, people using our image and creating AI. Like, that's love.
Yeah. I don't actually want to do like deepfakes or whatever, but
that's one way it is the way.
Yeah, no, I mean, AOC, again, like Donald Trump would do fake versions of that. Like, he'd make up how you're getting screwed over by, like, we don't have Greenland, so you're getting screwed over. And you're like, well, what does that have to do with me and my family or whatever? But the thing is, you are actually getting screwed over. But the issue is that you have to have somebody who is willing to point out the people who are screwing you over. Now, Donald Trump would never accurately diagnose the ways you're being screwed over because he likes that you're being screwed over because those are his pals that are doing it. But an AOC or whatever can point out these companies. She can attack McKinsey, she can attack MasterCard, she can do all this stuff. And if she can't, then somebody needs to. That's what we actually need. Okay, now with that said, let's move to our final story. This is gonna be a bit of a weird one. I also wanna let you know, in addition to having our members hangout, which is gonna happen in exactly 40 minutes, I hope to see you there. We're also gonna be doing our members content. We're gonna be talking a little bit about the starting point for Donald Trump in terms of what people think about him and some historic evidence for why it might go south really fast. And we're also gonna lump in a little bit about Elon Musk and what people think about the way he spent the past couple months. I consider it very good news. We'll reveal that in the members content. But first, this. Japan's elderly are apparently as lonely as everyone else, and they're really struggling with it. And some have come up with a solution. It's not what you might think. They're choosing in some cases to go to jail in pursuit of companionship. Now, it's not just companionship that they're hoping to find in jail, but that is apparently a part of it. This epidemic has gotten so bad that they are willingly doing crimes, getting caught so they can go to prison. And so CNN did some reporting where they visited Tochigi Women's Prison that's located north of Tokyo. They apparently, they talked to where at this facility where 1 in 5 inmates is elderly. They've apparently at the prison had to adjust their services to account for the aging population. By the way, the number across Japan of prisoners aged 65 and older has quadrupled over the past couple of decades. And so when you're there, you live there, obviously, and you have to work in the prison's factories, but apparently that's worth it because in exchange for that, you get regular meals, free healthcare, elder care as well, free healthcare for older people, along with the companionship of a lot of other elderly people in there. And so this sort of reminds me on some level of stories we had heard about people talking about in America, going not for companionship. I don't know that a lot of people want that in US prisons, but going for the healthcare, going for the sort of access to these services, which limited as it is in our prisons, is virtually impossible for a lot of people on the outside. And so apparently stealing is a big way that in Japan they're getting in there. 80% of elderly female inmates were in jail for stealing. I guess that's an easy sort of almost victim-free way to get in there. They're not knocking someone off to get locked up. And so I just found this to be an interesting confluence of the economic struggles that we see getting worse over the past few years and how a lot of people feel sort of disconnected from everyone in the modern era, especially coming out of the pandemic, Francesca.
Oh my God.
And like I said, it reminded me a little bit of some of the stuff we've seen in America. And so I don't know, maybe aren't people talking about the death of third places? Maybe prison is the next third place.
Oh my God, this is like the most depressing story I've heard in a really. What if this was your mom?
Oh my God.
What if it's your mom? And like I've done a little bit of reporting in Japan, and I think one thing that's really important to know is how overworked the Japanese population is, the working population is very overworked. And so oftentimes they rarely have time to spend with their family members or their aging parents, on and on and on, because they're just so slammed. And people who have children, there's not universal childcare there. It's really hard to, daycare is incredibly expensive. So the family unit is crumbling, and it's amazing. And it seems similar, John, to this country. It's like, oh, the only places that are still kind of like, a social safety net is effing prison.
Yeah. That's crazy. And I don't know, like maybe we're all the same. We're all struggling in this way. But yeah, this can't be the solution. But apparently when you have, poverty, especially among the young going up, they say in Japan, 20% of people aged over 65 are in poverty. That's higher than across dozens of other countries. So it's a particular problem there. There are people, this is what a guard said. There are people who come here because it's cold or because they're hungry. Those who fall ill can get free medical treatment while they're in prison, but once they leave, they have to pay for it themselves. So some people want to stay here as long as possible.
Oh my God.
Yeah, what you're seeing with, and there have been some proposals by the Japanese government to try to deal with this in terms of housing and healthcare, and they're working on that. But it's just a reminder of how things, for a lot of people are right now, but particularly for the elderly, they just were 100 years ago. You get old, and if you didn't have wealth, and if you didn't have family that could take care of you, you were likely to die. You'd die in a heat wave, or you'd die in a blizzard, or you'd starve to death. You wouldn't be able to treat your illnesses, and it's like we've struggled over the last couple of decades to try to get a little bit of sanity to our healthcare and our health insurance. And I see us moving back in that direction of everyone for themselves. And I don't like to see it. I don't like to see it in Japan. I don't want to see it here.
China, the blessed Communist Party, download Red Note now. No, but it's really important to know that like Japan is a neoliberal capitalist country, right? It's a hyper-capitalist country, just like South Korea and the United States and many other economies, right? And so it's like it is interesting. Like I visited Cuba, and in Cuba, there's not a lot of things to buy. Things aren't great there, but everyone has healthcare and an education. Everybody. Like there's not a lot of jobs, but people will not die because they cannot pay for their healthcare. So it's like, pick your poison, man. But at this point, it's like, okay, the Cold War, we might have won, but capitalism sucks.
Yeah. 100%. I have more I want to say about this. We unfortunately are up against the end of the show, but I want to thank everyone for joining us for the first Fantastic Thursday. It is a brave new era. Thank you, Francesca, who now is being pulled in all directions by everyone that wants to work with her. But we've had our hooks in for a while, so everybody back off, okay?
I can't quit you either, John. I can't quit.
Thank you. I don't want you to quit me. That would be a very, very sad day. But anyway, we're gonna go do our members content. Brett's gonna be here tomorrow. Go vote for the Community Garbage Person of the Week over on the community tab of our YouTube page, youtube.com/The Damage Report. And for now, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and we'll see you soon.